Hello and welcome to TVB News. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index was among the Asian markets that initially bounced back on Tuesday following a previous day of crashes. Monday started with a plunge abroad reminiscent of 1987's crash that swept the globe and pummeled Wall Street with more steep losses. On Tuesday, nearly all markets in Asia, aside from Singapore, saw gains. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index was up 0.5% before eventually closing down 0.31%. The Kospi jumped 4.3%. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 index soared nearly 11% early today, a day after it set markets tumbling in Europe and on Wall Street. Monday's meltdowns reflected fears that damage to the economy from prolonged high interest rates has been so severe that the U.S. Federal Reserve will have to cut rates in an emergency meeting before its next scheduled decision on September 18th. Other worries also are weighing on the market. The Israel-Hamas war and other global hotspots could cause sharp swings for the price of oil. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer held a meeting with police chiefs today after days of anti-immigration protests during which buildings were torched and asylum seekers targeted. In a bizarre incident, Metropolitan Police Commissioner Mark Rowley appeared to grab a reporter's microphone as he left an emergency meeting on Monday. Starmer and his ministers held the meeting amid violence and the recent fatal stabbings of 3 young girls in Southport. Starmer has vowed to crack down on the violence and do whatever it takes to bring these thugs to justice. Riots have broken out in multiple cities in the UK, including Plymouth, Liverpool, Bristol, Tamworth, Middlesbrough and Belfast in Northern Ireland. Misinformation about the stabbing spread, with far-right groups wrongly claiming the suspect was a radical Islamist who had just arrived in Britain. More than 400 people have been arrested, and dozens of police officers have been hospitalized for injuries. Hong Kong Olympic swimmer and bronze medalist Siobhan Haughey today returned to the city with her teammates. Haughey said she enjoyed competing in the Olympics and that the process is more important than the results. Mimo Singhai reports.
The Hong Kong Olympic swimming team was cheered and welcomed by crowds at the airport early this morning, with residents clapping and shouting the Chinese name of Siobhan Haughey. Other swimming team members, including Camilla Chen, Cindy Zheng, Natalie Kan, and Ho Lam Tam, also came back today. Haughey won 2 bronze medals in the 100-meter and 200-meter freestyle events, respectively. Speaking to the press, the athlete said she is aware of the different expectations placed on her by the public.
I
really enjoyed the Paris Olympics, and I often say the process is more important than the results. I only need to achieve the goals I set for myself, then it's okay, she said. She also thanked Hong Kongers for their support throughout the events she participated in.
I'm going to take a break first, and then I'll start training afterwards, because my next competition would be World Cups in mid-October. So yeah, a short break just to process everything that happened and enjoy some downtime.
This girl, a fan of Haughey, wanted to give this handmade card to the swimmer. I wish to congratulate her and express my support for her in my card, she said. News 9, TVB News.
The first ever National Security Exhibition Gallery in Hong Kong will open to the public tomorrow. Chief Executive John Lee said at the opening ceremony this morning that he hopes the exhibition will increase the public's awareness of national security. Helen Chen reports.
Last year, the chief executive proposed in his policy address the establishment of a national security exhibition gallery. After 10 months of preparation, the exhibition gallery, located in the Hong Kong Museum of History in Tsim Sha Tsui East, will open to the public for free starting Wednesday. The exhibition hall covers an area of 1,100 square meters. Among the exhibits is a national flag that was hoisted in Beijing's Tiananmen Square the day the Hong Kong national security law was implemented. There are also exhibition boards showing the damage caused during the anti-extradition bill protests. The exhibition is divided into 6 parts, including an introduction to the founding history of People's Republic of China and laws related to national security. Chief Executive John Lee hopes to raise the public's awareness of national security.
维护国家安全只有进行时。
He said maintaining national security is an ongoing process and that it is the responsibility of the SAR government and the obligation of all Chinese people, including Hong Kong residents. Zheng Yanxiong, director of the Liaison Office of the Central People's Government in Hong Kong, reminded the public to be vigilant about national security risks.
香港特区
He said that despite the pursuit of a peaceful and comfortable life, everyone needs to be vigilant and be reminded that the sword of the rule of law hangs high. Cui Jianchun, the commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Hong Kong, said the new exhibition hall provides an important window for citizens, especially young people, to the understanding of national security. Helen Chan, TVB News.
The amber rainstorm warning signal was temporarily in force earlier today. The observatory says residents should expect showers and thunderstorms tonight and Wednesday morning. Mimo Singhai reports.
The weather was gloomy in Kowloon town during lunchtime. There was heavy rain. At 1:45 p.m., the observatory issued the amber rainstorm warning, meaning more than 30 millimeters of rainfall had fallen or was expected to fall in an hour. The rainstorm, triggered by high temperatures, formed in the northern part of the New Territories. Chunwa recorded the heaviest rainfall of 80 millimeters per hour. The rainstorm then moved to Kowloon Peninsula and the northern part of the Hong Kong island. However, there was almost no rain in parts of eastern and western New Territories. At 2:45 p.m., the amber rainstorm warning signal was cancelled. The grey sky disappeared. People took an umbrella with them, but this time it was for the sun. The observatory said the weather will remain hot and fine for the rest of this week. News 9, TVB News.
Still ahead, the U.S. says diplomats are working hard to prevent regional conflict in the Middle East. And a U.S. court rules Google has an illegal monopoly over internet search. And a 3% pay increase for all city bus employees. Welcome back. The United States says diplomats are working around the clock to prevent regional conflict in the Middle East. As talks continue to work out a ceasefire deal for Gaza, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has also spoken to leaders in the region on convincing Iran to stand down. Iran has vowed revenge against Israel after blaming it for assassinating Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran last week. Nazvi Karim with more.
Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian, welcomes Russia's security chief Sergei Shoigu to Tehran. In Tel Aviv, the commander of U.S. Central Command, Michael Kurilla, in talks with Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, preparing for war or trying to defuse the situation. According to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, de-escalation regionally and a ceasefire in Gaza are the goals.
We are engaged in intense diplomacy, pretty much round the clock, with a very simple message. All parties must refrain from escalation. All parties must take steps to ease tensions. Escalation is not in anyone's interests. It will only lead to more conflict, more violence, more insecurity. It's also critical that we break this cycle by reaching a ceasefire in Gaza.
At his weekly press conference on Monday, Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani reiterated Tehran's vow to exact harsh punishment on Israel, which they blamed for last week's assassination of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh in the Iranian capital. During his meeting with Shoigu, Russia's former defense minister, Pezeshkian said Iran does not seek a wider conflict, but that Israel would definitely receive a response while hailing Moscow as a strategic partner. The U.S. hopes Iran will stand down on its threat.
So I can't speak to what may or may not happen. That is a decision for Iran to make. We have been sending consistent messages through our diplomatic engagements, encouraging people to communicate to the government of Iran that escalation is not in their interest, and that we will defend Israel from attacks, and that escalation does not serve Iran's interest.
This is the building in Beirut where Fuad Shakur, a commander of Iran-backed Lebanese group Hezbollah, was killed in an Israeli attack. Any wider conflict would almost certainly involve the Lebanese capital, where people are fearful of war but remain determined to defend their country. Amin Sharri, a Hezbollah member of parliament, said Israel is the enemy and that the Lebanese people are ready to absorb any barbaric aggression. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
A U.S. judge on Monday ruled that Google's globally dominant search engine has been illegally exploiting its market share to squash competition and stifle innovation. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta's decision comes nearly a year after the start of the trial, pitting the U.S. Justice Department against Google in the biggest antitrust trial in a quarter century. After reviewing evidence and testimony from executives at Google, Microsoft, and Apple, Mehta issued his potentially market-shifting decision 3 months after the two sides presented their closing arguments. He wrote that the court found Google to be monopolist and that it acted as one to maintain its monopoly. The company is almost certain to appeal. Citybus announced a 3.6% pay increase for all its employees. The company also maintains a minimum increase guarantee, meaning that full-time bus captains and mechanics will receive a pay rise of no less than $810. Frontline staff will start receiving the new pay in September. As for non-frontline employees, the pay adjustment based on their performance will take effect in January next year. Citybus says the market situation still poses challenges for the company and that the management made the decision to increase salaries after consulting labor unions and employee representatives. An academic from Chinese University of Hong Kong says inner peace is necessary for controlling one's emotions. And she said a labyrinth may be the solution. Mimosing Ai reports.
Have you ever seen a labyrinth? Why a labyrinth can look similar to a maze? It comes without the complicated network of paths that often confuse people. Rather, walking a labyrinth can benefit an individual's mental health and well-being, which is often connected to spiritual activity or meditation. An academic from the Chinese University of Hong Kong said such a site has a long history going back more than 4,000 years. She said labyrinths can often be found in churches, hospitals, and prisons, and people can follow the 3R principle when they venture on their journey to tranquility.
When we're walking into the labyrinth, try to empty our mind and open up our thoughts and emotions. If you want to have a structured experience, the first is release. When you clean up your whole self, then you could receive some information for your current problems or current issues. And after you arrive at the center, you could stand inside for a few seconds to receive some messages for your life problems or life solutions, and then you return to your life to implement what you receive.
The Chinese University of Hong Kong set up the labyrinth in October last year, the first university in the city to have such a site. Zhao said students often spend time there before their assessment deadlines.
Dr. Chow said individuals need to learn to be at peace with themselves, which is an important part of managing emotions.
To help local youth find inner peace, Zhao established a social enterprise this year. Through storytelling, the academic said young people can express emotions and identify their emotional reactions to external environments. News 9, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.